Tech Talk with Matthew Dickerson. Matthew Dickerson. Tech Talk. Tech Talk. Sit back and relax. It's time to talk technology.
Hello, happy holidayers. We are screaming headlong like a bat out of hell straight into the new year. Look out 2026, here we come. Buckle up, folks. We're in for some fun today. Now, in today's show, we'll check out which sport Tesla is looking to revolutionise with a little high-tech intervention, and you'll never guess which one it is. We're going all James Bond, international man of mystery as well, and super spy with a new way to pilot drones. And who needs illicit mind-altering drugs to cause hallucination? Certainly not AI engines, that's for sure. We'll review just how badly AI has been getting it wrong these days. But all that in good time. Please welcome to the microphone for the last time in 2025, our resident techspert. Welcome, Matthew Dickerson.
Wow, last time in 2025.
Yeah, that went quick, didn't it?
It seemed like just a year ago we were talking about the last episode of 2024.
Yes, almost 365 days
Unbelievable.
ago.
Now, this is being broadcast after Christmas, but of course we're recording it just before Christmas.
Yes.
We're having a little week off there.
Yeah.
So I have got a present for you. Now, I did listen very carefully and watched your expressions while we talked about the top 20, the 7G gift guide.
Oh, right, okay.
And
very good.
After analysing that and then cross-referencing the analysis with the cost of some of the presents to make sure it wasn't going to break me when I bought one for you.
I got really, really excited about some of those robots, by the way. Really excited.
Geez, sorry. I had a cap on my present.
and a new Tesla as well. I got excited about that too.
I didn't notice any reaction to the new Tesla. So I have got your Christmas present here, which you can open live on here. Here you go. Merry Christmas.
Here's pressure. Whenever you open presents in front of the giver, it's just always that element of pressure.
I know.
But let me just dive into this, folks. It's security sealed with really fantastic sticky taping.
High level of wrapping there, done by...
Ripping into it. I love things that come in colourful boxes, though. It's the mini blower. Fantastic. My keyboard's going to be so clean.
I know you like to have a clean keyboard. I know you like to have a clean desk. Just what you need there.
I want to rip it open. The battery, is it charged up? Oh, no, I've got to charge it up.
It doesn't need a battery. This is the one that we looked at where some of them you don't need a battery.
Right.
And it's got more power because it just plugs straight into a USB port.
In.
Yeah, so
well,
you
that's
need to
fantastic.
be close enough.
I cannot wait to blow all the gunk out of my keyboard, and I tell you, there's a lot of gunk to get rid of.
And just for folks out there, it looks like a leaf blower.
It's even orange. Yeah, it's orange.
It's even orange. That's right.
And it's got the nozzle. It looks like you can replace. Yeah, so you can replace the nozzle as well. You
and
can
put
get
different nozzles on. I'm sure you could do things that can, blow your hair on a hot day or something. So there you go. Merry Christmas.
I get the leaves out of my my keyboard. That'll do a great job. Yeah, a leaf blower looks like a leaf blower, but it's specifically designed for my desk.
It was number one on my list. Actually, my top 20 list. It was number one on the list.
Grateful.
Number one with a bullet.
Thank you very much. This is my favourite present this Christmas.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Rightio. So
All right.
Now, what I want to talk about today is the little bit of science that goes into people that think they know a little bit and they just need to know a little bit more. But sometimes they get the right answer by knowing a little bit. So my daughter and I for a bike ride this week, and we're riding along and we got to a hill, and no surprises here, I'm a little bit heavier than my daughter. So we got to the hill and we both coasted down the hill, and I got to the bottom of the hill before my daughter. And my daughter said, did
you start off at the same speed?
We went along at the same speed. I said, we'll get to this little hill. We'll just go down here and see what happens.
Okay. She was very obliging for your science experiment.
That's right.
But it's important to control your variables.
That's right. As much as possible, ride along side by side, stop pedalling, away we go. And we got to the bottom, and of course my daughter said, yes, of course you beat me because you're heavier. So then...
Was she insulting you? Saying,
well, maybe a little bit.
On the pounds over Christmas break.
But, of course, some people would go, oh, yes, you're heavier, you fall quicker under gravity because obviously you're heavier. Things fall quicker, which, of course,
but
they don't.
No. Yeah, good.
And there's obviously the wonderful test we see where you can watch a bowling ball or a hammer and a feather fall in a vacuum at the same rate, which is quite weird.
So that was done, that was Apollo 17, I want to say, that did that one. They did that experiment with the falcon feather and the hammer, and you can actually watch that on, it's a grainy bit of footage. But there's an even better piece of footage where Brian Cox visited NASA, and they've got a big chamber which they evacuated. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I have, yeah.
And the ostrich feather and the bowling ball.
And you don't want to be stuck in that chamber when they flick on the pumps and you go, hold on, wait up, it's going to be no, or minimal air. It's not going to be a perfect vacuum, but very close.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating, isn't it? Because if we sit here now and drop a bowling ball on a feather, we know the bowling ball is going to drop straight to the ground on the feather, not so much. But you get two things that are basically equal surface area. So, for example, a cricket ball and maybe a tennis ball, I mean, again, they've got slightly different surfaces, but in general, they'll probably fall at about the same rate because they're basically the same outside shape and they're different weights, but they'll fall at the same rate. Now, doing that, holding them in your hands over 1.5 meters, 2 meters is not going to be very accurate in terms of that, but it gives you an idea that things can be heavier and lighter and fall.
Do you know
the
what
same.
you can also do on a trampoline? You can just grab a cricket ball or a tennis ball or whatever and hold it out in front of your face. And at the very top of your flight, when you're at the very top of the height that you've jumped, let go of that tennis ball and you'll watch it be suspended in air in front of your face as you're falling to the ground.
Cool. That's a good one too. Yeah. I like that. So anyone that knows a little bit knows that things fall in a perfect environment with no air resistance fall at the same rate. So for my daughter and myself, it doesn't matter how heavy we are because obviously gravity, 9.8 meters per second per second, it acts the same on both. So it has a greater force on me because I'm heavier, but then I've got more mass, so I need more force to move me. So in other words,
this is inertia.
That's right. So we end up with the same speed. So why did I get to the bottom faster? So again, my daughter goes, because you're heavier, Dad. Easy. Problem solved. And well, no, let's have another 10 minutes of our bike ride talking about gravity and all the rest of it. And multiple eye rolls later. And so obviously the solution is, the solution to that problem is that, yes, you will have a heavier cyclist, all the other things being equal, roll fast to the bottom of the hill, but that's because you've got some other factors. And it's not, I don't think air resistance is the main factor there. I think it's the resistance of your bearings and your tyres on the actual road. So they will increase as mass increases. So the tyre is a little bit more deflated with a slightly heavier mass, but it's not at the same level that the gravity might increase that force. So you've got more force on me, but the other factors, the rolling resistance, the air resistance, are going to be basically the same between myself and my daughter. So you've got this greater force acting on this mass, so those other factors are less of a factor. So it becomes more complicated than just you're heavier because there's a whole range of other variables in there as well. But,
that's exactly right. But, I mean, look, I assume the wheels of your bike are the same size.
Look, they're both on mountain bikes, so basically the same. So yes, there are probably
I think
other
that's
variables.
a factor as well there you'd need to be careful about.
Yeah, there are other factors there, definitely. But in general, I would say the rolling resistance of the tyres is about the same between the two of us, slightly more for me because I'm heavier.
Yeah.
The bearings are going to be about the same for both, but then there is going to be more force acting on me, but I've got more weight to move, but then those other factors are reduced. So the rolling resistance and the bearing resistance and the air resistance are going to be less of a factor for me because I'm heavier than my daughter. So, yes, it is because I'm heavier, but it's not just as simple as you're heavier.
Physics is awesome.
That's right.
Yeah, and that's what I keep telling students, get into it.
And having a discussion like that, which, maybe I won't be able to get my daughter to go for a bike ride with me again this Christmas, but but having a discussion like that to me is all about exactly the physics and trying to understand the physics of the world.
Pulling apart the world, Yeah,
there's my little fun physics for the Christmas period, maybe.
Well, we better get started before 2026 arrives, so we better get started talking about our stories. Now, the under-16 ban on social media here in Australia has made really big news in recent weeks, and it would have been extremely naive to think that the transition would occur without any issues. But with social media platforms trying to play by the rules, there still remains a rather large door gapingly ajar with zero restrictions on gaming platforms. Now, gaming platforms may serve as a conduit for the same damaging antisocial behaviour that brought about the social media ban. Matt, if gaming platforms are shut down too, are we going to see rioting in the streets, perhaps?
Rioting by 16-year-olds or 15-year-olds.
Yes. People who are younger than 16 are just going to be starting to burn stuff down.
And I've been having chats with as many younger people as I can over the last few weeks mind you, with their parents. I don't go into a place that young people hang out and say, hey, everyone, who wants to chat to me, this creepy old man. But when I see someone with their parents, I actually say, do you mind if I ask your child about the under 16 social media ban? And I had a couple this week, and I had that exact question. I said, how are you going with it? And the response I got in both cases was, hasn't affected me yet. I'm still using my social media. Nothing has come up. And one mother that I spoke to said that she had a 15-year-old and a 13-year-old, and nothing for both of her children. Nothing had happened at all yet. And I said, what about your friends? And they said a couple of friends have had something come up and they're now blocked, but the rest of them, no. So they're all still using social media at the moment. So there were some things happening before the 10th of December. Obviously not a lot of action after, but gaming is the big thing. And the reason I thought about gaming was I remember sitting down watching my son play one of his games one day, and there's just too much action for me to keep up. I'm watching all these things happening, going, what happened there? How did you do that? Where did that guy come from? But then something popped up down the bottom, some writing down the bottom, and my son quickly bangs away on his keyboard, and I said, what was that? He said, that was Billy Bloggs, one of his friends. That was all his friends were called Billy or Billy Bloggs.
Yeah.
And they answered the friend, and I said, so how do you know it was your friend? Oh, no, because it sounded like him. And I went, oh, hold on. And this is a couple of years ago, this conversation happened. Hold on, are you sure? Like, that could be anyone. No, I knew it was, my friend. But hold on, how did you know it was your friend? And so to me, it alerted me a little bit to just go, sure, kids are trusting and they think that sounds like their friend, but it could have been absolutely anyone.
Yep. What
I did say to my son, in fact, all my children, was after that, just create a code word amongst your friends. Doesn't matter what it is. It could be tech talk. It could be the moon is round, whatever. Bananas. Just something when you're talking to a friend, and just ask an obscure question. And if they don't give you that answer, then maybe it's not who you think it is. So just something random. But again, there is a big open hole there. And gaming has largely missed out on the social media ban. So there's 10 major platforms that have been banned at this stage: Instagram, Snapchat, X or Twitter, etc. So they've been banned, theoretically, for under 16s. Maybe it hasn't all happened yet. But excluded are online gaming platforms. And it's probably more a legal issue than anything else, because the definition is something around a communication tool rather than a gaming tool. But a gaming tool can still be used for communication.
That's right.
The Australian Federal Police has warned that chat rooms in games are hotspots for radicalisation and child exploitation, but they haven't been wrapped up yet. And now, to be fair, the Communications Minister has said that the ban on day one was a treatment plan, not a cure. So I get that. It's not an instant cure and everything's going to be solved on day one. Whack-a-mole is the thing I've been using to describe it. But gaming certainly, I think, will start to fall into this. And then, you're right, you might have rioting on the streets. You might have under 16s marching on federal parliament saying, we want our gaming back. But maybe you could do it and maybe limit the communication, maybe, but then that's part of the fun. When you're playing with some friends, you and I competing against another couple of random people we don't know. Hey, James, on the left, you go on the left, I'll go on the right, whatever. Yeah. That's a part of the whole gaming process.
But you think about social media platforms are only designed for people to just communicate with each other, to send messages and to send footage of whatever they've been doing or what's interesting them. But games have got that ulterior motive. There's a goal out there, and the other communication is just as a part of that.
Ancillary.
However, it can still be used as a weapon.
So that's right. So at this stage, the federal government has said that gaming is excluded because its primary purpose, as you're saying there, is not social interaction, whereas something like Snapchat, its primary purpose is social interaction.
So they've thought of it, they're aware of it, but they're going to have to address it a little bit more seriously later on with something.
And some of the games themselves, so Roblox, for example, has got some age assurance checks in Australia, which they may go global with. I think there's another one, might have been Discord, might have been another one. They've got some age checks that they're putting in as part of it, but I just don't think they're doing it to the same level that the social media ban. So it is fascinating. This is a moving feast. I don't know what the answer will be. The answer will change on an ongoing basis, but it is fascinating to see where we're going with gaming as a whole part of this social interaction and kids, and trying to protect kids from cyberbullies, from old people who are well, maybe some of those young people have got ulterior motives, a whole range of protections they need. And the young brain, we know, is not developed. It probably doesn't develop properly till maybe 24, 25 years of age.
Yeah, this is what they're saying. That you exit puberty around that, or adolescence, in the mid-20s now.
And we know that from a driving perspective, the number of people aged 17 to 25 involved in accidents because that young brain is still not fully developed. Yeah. We give them a car and say, here you go and take this 1.5 tonne device and good luck with it. But we want to try and protect their brains from a social media perspective. So it's a fascinating landscape.
Yes, and watch this space. Well, love them or hate them, the folks at Tesla have certainly been able to show the world that they can set a trend on a global level. Now, I'm yet to play my first game of pickleball, so maybe I shouldn't be one to judge, but the highly paid engineers at Tesla have spotted yet another frontier to conquer, and they've used their highest level design gear to generate a pickleball paddle to silence the critics. Matt, talk us through the pickleballing hype.
Well, I'm a bit sad that you haven't had a game of pickleball yet. That's the first thing that I've taken from this conversation. You've got time over Christmas now. Go and find... I was actually lucky enough to be involved in a launch of a pickleball
I feel like
court.
I'd rather play tennis, but anyway.
Well, I was actually fascinated. I'm no great tennis player, but so I was involved with the launch of a pickleball court, and I got there and I'd never picked up a pickleball paddle. There's enough P's in there, isn't there? And so I went along and said, okay, hit this and here's where you go. And I went, it's actually quite good. And what I loved about it was the fact that it removed the power hitter from the game. So if you play tennis with someone that's very good,
right,
and I've got a relative by marriage who was a very good tennis player, and playing tennis against her is not a lot of fun because she's just way too powerful for me, so I get blown off the court. So pickleball, the great thing about the pickleball, of course, is that the ball itself is designed to have very little inertia. It's very lightweight, so you can hit it very hard. It doesn't have a lot of momentum that gets carried, but the ball itself is designed to have incredibly high air resistance. So if you've got a power player and they hit it as hard as they possibly can, it slows down very quickly.
Right.
Now, the trick...
Does that mean you can hit it and make it swing heaps?
Well, not a lot. It doesn't, like, you can make it swing a bit because it's full of holes.
Balls tend to be able to rotate really fast.
And it's got holes in it as well. So it's a bit like a golf ball, I suppose, where it can actually spin. But it doesn't have the same spin when it bounces. A tennis ball, when it bounces, can bounce differently depending on the spin.
I'm talking about spinning in the air and catching the air and so curving in the air.
And it doesn't seem to have the same top spin, say, that a tennis ball has.
Okay.
But here's the trick question for you. How many holes are in a pickleball? Now, I'm not asking you for the answer yet, because what I thought of when I thought about that question was the famous Monty Python scene in the Holy Grail with the unladen swallow.
Yes.
And, of course, the ogre or the person guarding the bridge that says how many, what's the air velocity, I think it was, the speed velocity.
Airspeed velocity of an African swallow.
That's right, unladen swallow. And, of course, that's a bit of tautology as well, because airspeed velocity, well, you don't need speed and velocity, but that's another issue. And, of course, King Arthur replies with African or European. And, of course, the guard of the bridge goes, oh, I don't know, and then he goes into the abyss. To give you the answer there, European swallow, typically a barn swallow, is about 11 metres per second.
Right.
The African swallow is a trick one. And maybe Monty Python knew this, because there's not really one swallow that's an African swallow, but a red-chested swallow is about 10 to 12 metres per second. So maybe King Arthur could have just said 11 metres per second. That would have been okay.
Yeah, just go with that.
But the African or European is a good answer. So the answer to how many holes in a pickleball, the correct answer to that is indoor or outdoor.
Ah.
Because they've got an indoor and an outdoor. An outdoor pickleball has 40 holes.
Well, I would have been thrown into the abyss.
No, you've got to ask indoor or outdoor. And then the indoor has 26 holes. I'm not sure exactly why they have a different number of holes for indoor or outdoor. Maybe there's too much wind on one. But that's the thing I love about pickleball is you can have a power hitter, and it's really more about the placement of the ball and a bit of finesse rather than the power. So that's why it's been very popular with older people, because they don't get blown off the court by someone. But it's popular. At the moment, 14% of US adults participated in pickleball this year.
Right.
14%.
There's a market there.
There's a market there.
So if you've got some technology.
So back to the story.
Right, okay.
Tesla like to do some interesting things sometimes. They introduced an electric quad bike, which kind of makes sense because they're making electric cars.
Yes.
But then they introduced a branded beer mug, which you kind of go, why? Then they introduced some premium alcohol to go into the branded beer mug. And so now they've gotten together with Selkirk Sport to make an expensive, aerodynamic, carbon fibre pickleball paddle. $350 will set you back. A normal high-end
fibre.
carbon fibre.
I'm guessing most paddles are made out of wood.
Probably plastic. I reckon.
Plastic. Yeah, sorry, it is 2025.
So the most expensive pickleball paddle I've seen for someone that's maybe a good player is about $150.
Okay.
There's not much in a pickleball paddle.
Right.
These are $350. Now, what they've done is they took pickleball paddles into their air tunnels and did some aerodynamic modelling and testing. And so with all the same vehicle-style aerodynamic analysis they've done, they've put that into the pickleball paddle. They've reduced the drag coefficient. They've made sure the turbulent wake patterns at the end aren't too high. And so all the things I talked about in terms of reducing the power hitter, well, what they've just done is effectively given you a pickleball that could be used by a power hitter. So it's got an elongated silhouette designed to improve your swing speed. It's got an edgeless perimeter to keep that edge away from creating some turbulent wake there. So if you are serious about your pickleball,
Yep.
Tesla has the pickleball paddle for you.
Yeah, so if you don't have a pickleball paddle that's made out of carbon fibre, then you're not serious.
You're not serious, that's
And
right.
you show up to the court carrying plastic, they're just going to laugh at you.
I don't think I'd play against you. I think, sorry, get me someone that's serious about this game. Now, the fascinating part here is at the moment, there are 47% of US adults that have a negative view of Tesla. Now, in the past, when they introduced a beer mug or some little gimmicky thing, people, oh, cool, I'll get one of those. I can't afford a Tesla car, but I'll get a Tesla beer mug. That's cool. I'm not sure how well they'll go now because I don't know that people want to turn up to the court with the Tesla logo. Maybe they'll scratch off the logo. Maybe they want the carbon fibre. Maybe tape over the logo.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
But it's fascinating when you've got technology as your background, how you can apply that to a whole range of different things. And I think part of it in the past would have been Tesla is a well-respected brand. We can introduce anything. Pickleball, what the heck? We'll sell some pickleball paddles. Yeah, people will buy that. I don't know that's so much the case now, but I love the fact they've applied their vehicle technology, their aerodynamic knowledge to something completely unrelated in pickleball. But maybe it's also a thing that older Americans tend to play pickleball, and maybe they're the target market for Tesla vehicles as well.
They might have a bit more disposable cash, maybe.
Maybe.
But either way, I just saw there was a gap in the market there. No one had invented this or had played with this.
That's right.
So they thought we better.
Everyone said it's
jump
okay
before someone else does.
Well, maybe, but I think it's like, it's okay, it's just pickleball. No one's serious about it. So someone said, let's get serious.
Now, if you've been listening for any space of time, we love our wearable tech here at Tech Talk, and the latest from Whoop Fitness Trackers is a blood test reading option. Now, Matt, for the squeamish, there's no blood exchange actually happening here outside of the pathology lab, is there? It's just a little unit for tracking results. Am I right? Yeah.
So there's your normal biometric data. So it'll track things like your sleep, your strain, your recovery, your heart rate variability, things that
they're
we know.
They're all doing that, all the wearables.
That's right. So they're doing all that. But Whoop have said, well, hold on. How do we know whether this person's got high cholesterol, or maybe they've got some hormone imbalances, or maybe they've just got some things there? How are we going to do that? We can't really test that. We know we're getting better at testing things from the outside. We've talked about some things where you're using ultrasound for diabetes or light for diabetes. So we're getting better, but we can't test all those things. So they've done the logical, sensible thing, and they've said, get your blood test done as you normally would. Go to the pathology lab, go to your doctor, get your referral, etc. But then upload the raw blood test results into the app that's involved, and now we've got that data. We can marry that up. So we can now see that your heart rate variability or your low or your high heart rate, for example, might be due to the cholesterol, which we know you've got because we've looked at your blood test, or maybe your hormones.
And a lot of diagnoses rely on patterns or multiple symptoms.
Correct.
So you need to either track data over time or have multiple sets of data rather than, I've got a bit of a sniffle, therefore I must have the flu.
Yep.
A sniffle could be a symptom for many, many, many different things. So we need different symptoms.
We need that, and we also need different information. So they've got 65 blood biomarkers. Now, I've had blood tests. I don't remember them doing 65 different tests on that blood.
And they don't necessarily do all 65, but they'll do target some,
Correct, and that's where this is said, where Whoop have said, we've got these potential to look at those 65 different biomarkers. So, for example, I'm not in the target market for iron deficiency. I'm not the demographic, if you like, for iron deficiency. But maybe if I was a young, active female, I might be in the demographic for iron deficiency. So that might be one of the ones that's tested for.
Probably the biggest one is diabetes, so the pre-diabetics.
Yeah.
So if you're getting your blood sugar levels taken and you're heading towards diabetes, you've still got to pull back. You can start to take some steps to
you've got a chance to stop it. That's right.
Yeah.
So I find it fascinating. The thing that I found absolutely fascinating in all of this was that they did use the fact that the English cricket team, who are of course in Australia at the moment, the English cricket team are using Whoop fitness trackers to monitor their performance and recovery as well.
It's not working for them.
That's not going so well. So I'm not sure that I'd be saying too loudly that the English cricket team uses this. So we'll just keep that on the down low and let's wait till they win a game. And then...
Well, maybe they're all really sick and they all know that they're really sick.
Or that's right.
Yeah,
Maybe
and that's playing on their minds.
Right.
Oh,
or
no,
maybe,
we're all sick.
maybe they'd be even worse in their performance if they didn't have these, and they're only bad in their performance because they've actually got these. To
Hope
help
Piers
them out.
Morgan's listening.
That's right. That should stir him up. So we do see a lot of things working in professional sport now, where we've got different trackers and different tests to monitor athletes. But it's just getting better and better now from our perspective, where average punters can not only have all this information, but now add blood into the mix as well to see how we're going. And I keep joking about it. We're getting more and more unhealthy as a society, but we've got more ways to tell us just how unhealthy we are.
But, looking back, we're actually much healthier than what we used to be. And so a lot of this awareness as part of that.
Yeah, and I'm being a little bit facetious.
Yeah, no. I agree.
130 years ago, we lived to a median age of 50, and now we're living to a median age of 80. So we've also made some improvements over that time.
Disney has quite the copyright protection on its intellectual property, and they have the sort of finance to be able to spot and track any transgressions from all over the world, folks. So it is particularly interesting that Disney has struck a deal with AI to allow their characters to be used in AI images and videos without Disney artists in control, Matt. And when I say AI, we're talking specifically OpenAI, aren't we?
Yeah, the deal's been done with OpenAI, exactly right. And Disney's got some classic, some iconic characters to protect.
Everywhere. If there's anyone on the planet who doesn't know who Mickey Mouse is.
Yeah, that's right. So, but you've got some of those, like your Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, Goofy. Then you go to things like Peter Pan, Snow White, Dumbo, Bambi. I mean, who wouldn't want to see a lovely image of Bambi?
Disney owns Star Wars as well.
Star Wars, that's right.
Marvel.
So Marvel. So you've got some of those modern characters, Toy Story, Invincibles, Nemo. I mean, there are so many characters that are classics in their own right. If you were the owner of just one of those sets of characters, you'd be pretty happy with yourself. But Disney owns all of these. And in the past, you're right, they have been very protective and they have the pockets to protect all of those. And there's a huge vested interest for them because they make a lot of money out of all of those different characters, out of the various toys they sell. It's not just the movies, obviously. It's all of the things that happen after that. And I get a feeling there's the saying that we know in the modern version, but it's a saying that started about 500 years ago, the first reference I could find to it. And it was, he that cannot beat them must be content to join them. and I do wonder whether Disney have thrown their hands up in the air and say, we can keep trying to throw lawsuits at various tools, various AI tools that are using our characters, but it's truth, we're going to be there forever fighting this battle. So do we just join up with them? So they have joined up with OpenAI. There's $1 billion that's been thrown around here. So there's $1 billion equity investment in OpenAI by Disney. So OpenAI is not paying Disney a single cent. They've just given them $1 billion worth of equity, which not too bad in terms of that. And so now you could go and use, for example, Sora, the video generator owned by OpenAI, and you could say, I want to use a picture of or an image of Mickey Mouse walking along beside me going through the streets of my hometown, and it would produce some type of video with Mickey Mouse, and it would be the genuine one rather than in the past I would have said, can you give me a mouse with large black ears walking along beside me as I walk down my hometown?
Red shorts. Yeah.
That's right. So I think that's quite fascinating. Now, at the same time, Disney is in a legal dispute with Midjourney, another OpenAI tool, or sorry, not OpenAI, another AI tool, accusing them of IP infringement. So they're battling it legally on one hand, while on the other hand they're joining hands and saying, let's go forward hand in hand. One of the things that is interesting as well is that the licensing at the moment is for the images and the videos, but not the voices. So, for example, Toy Story, Woody is voiced by Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
imagine if Disney had have said, yes, you can have all of our voices as well, and Tom Hanks says, hold on, that's actually my voice. Yeah, but you signed an agreement when you did Woody that you would allow Woody to have a voice that you would voice. That's all okay. We could use a movie with that, but hold on.
This is so complicated.
I know, I didn't give permission for AI, but when we did Toy Story, AI did not exist. So they've said at the moment, yes, image is okay. Any of the voices out of our characters, no, which probably means that all of the voices, the voice of Mickey Mouse, the voice of Donald Duck, all those are probably excluded as well, even though they may not be a single famous actor that wants copyright of their own voice, like a Tom Hanks might want that. So, it's complicated, isn't it?
It is complicated, but yeah, you're right. It's a case of can't beat them, join them. So
yeah, I think it is a case of that, and I think this will be the big change. I think, not that I'm trying to do predictions for 2026, but I think one of the things that will change in 2026 has been a lot of action trying to prevent the use of AI or the AI using various things that are out there. I think 2026 will be the year that people start to say, oh, you know what, can we do a deal? Because it's going to happen anyway, so I might as well get something out of it rather than keep trying to resist and I get knocked over by this wave of AI coming at me.
Drone piloting has taken yet another turn beyond the 21st century, and this is 100% out of the pages of a James Bond novel, folks. Say goodbye to big clunky handsets with joysticks, buttons, wheels and touchpads. Drone piloting can now be done all from your smartwatch. So, Matt, you really don't have to draw too much attention to yourself if you're all dressed up in your tuxedo at the casino while you're flying your drones and doing all your spy stuff. Yeah?
That's right.
You just need your watch.
You just need your watch. And it's not full control, but it's basic control, and you still need your phone nearby. So James Bond has got to have his phone tucked away in his pocket, his shirt pocket or his hip pocket somewhere. That's okay.
2026, everyone's going to have a mobile phone. Then no one's going to suspect him of flying drones around the place.
It'd just look more obvious that he's dressed in a tuxedo, wouldn't it? That'd be a giveaway to me. Everyone else is dressed in shorts and t-shirts. What's this guy in a tuxedo?
Wearing a tuxedo. He must be on his way to the casino.
That's right. So what they've got with the watch now is the ability to watch the video from the actual drone.
Right.
Start recording, take photos from your watch. So you could have your phone. So you start the drone off with your phone. You still need that to get it started. But you can then say, for example, follow me. You can start your drone off and say, follow me as I go for a walk along to the casino. Maybe that might look obvious with a drone above me in the casino. Walk along out.
The guys from Spectre are going to pick up on that.
That's right. Walk along via the river or whatever it might be, out for a push bike ride. But then I can just watch my watch, and when I see, oh, there's actually a nice image there, I'll start recording rather than recording the whole time, rather than filling up my memory stick or using up all the battery life on it while it's recording. I can just look at my watch, and so I can do some basic controls on my watch, but still I need to start and stop it and do some of the full controls from my phone.
So it was a bit of a stretch to suggest that we could have full control just from your watch.
Well, today it is, but it's not a bad first step. And the first thing I thought of when I started looking at this was, hold on, is my watch going to transmit to my drone?
How powerful.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not sure that my watch is really set up for that, and it's not. But what it does do is it sends a signal from your watch to your phone, and your phone has got more power to be able to send that signal to the drone itself. So it's using the phone as part of the whole sequence, but what a clever way to do it. And our watches seem to be getting bigger each version that comes out, like our phones used to keep doing. How long before we're basically wearing a smart phone on our wrist? It's just, I want them small. I want them to be able to give me the vision as if it was huge, as if it was an 85-inch TV on my wrist, but still the size of a small watch. Didn't
we do a story a while back where the watch was actually projected onto your arm? Did we do a story on that? Am I making that up?
You can use things where they're projected. Yeah, that's right. You can use things where it's projected. But I don't know that it was projecting onto your arm. I can't remember, but I could be wrong. We do a lot of stories. So. Yeah, so anyway, that's fascinating. We'll be able to do some controls with our watch and make that part of the whole sequence with drones, because drones are cool. Yeah, I do like drones.
Yeah, they are. And there's a big market for them. So anyone who's got a new idea for them is bound to make big money for
and
them.
If you can, that's right, if you can come up with the idea ahead of the competition, so if you can start using a watch and the competition can't, then straight away you're ahead of the competition.
Now here's a story for the classical musicians in the audience. Purists may snub their noses here, but traditional materials are on their way out. Now, cellos, they've always been made from very fine, naturally sourced materials like spruce, maple, ebony, if you please, and crafted with meticulous geometry, no less. But that makes them so very expensive. So, Matt, now in 2026, there's just got to be an easier and faster way to make a cello.
Oh, I'm going to offend a lot of people here, I'm sure, but the cello did originate back in the 16th century, and it is acoustically very complex. There's no doubt about that at all. And trying to get the right sound from a cello, people are artisans when they do make their cello
That's
out
right.
of the beautiful timbers that you talked about there. But ultimately, it's about the shape of the timber. It's about the way the sound reverberates, moves around inside that chamber and then obviously projected out. So surely we can use some science, some maths maybe, and maybe we can get it so that we can reproduce it every single time. So there's a new company that's been formed by a biomedical engineering graduate who was also a trained cellist. And so they went, maybe I could do this. And maybe there were a few reasons for this. Maybe one was to buy a concert grade cello, you're paying 20 grand minimum. So they're not a cheap instrument. So this student probably went, you know what? I just don't have 20 grand lying around loose change and I want a really good quality cello.
That's right. So you either buy a car or you buy a cello.
That's it.
And then put on your back and ride your bike to the concert.
That's right. Then how do I get to the concert? If I had been able to buy a car, I could have got to the concert, but then I didn't have a cello. So this particular person has started this company called Forte 3D, F-O-R-T-E 3D. And essentially you can 3D print using carbon fibre a cello that's got a few advantages to a traditional cello. Traditional cellos do actually sometimes crack. The timber, they're a natural product. Yep. They sometimes crack. Sometimes humidity, definitely water, but sometimes just humidity can damage it, can make it swell just ever so slightly. You do sometimes get warped necks. You basically get it wearing out over time.
If you're carried on your back on your bike, you're going to... There's so many risks.
So many risks with your 20 grand cello sitting on your back. And that's you can spend more than that on a cello, but just with your 20 grand cello on the back. So this particular person has come up with a 3D printed carbon fibre cello. There's also some parts there where there's a 3D printed polymer for the neck and the ribs. Now, to keep you maybe a little bit happy, the bridge, the sound post, and the fingerboard are still timber.
Oh,
They're still made of wood. So the strength, if you like, the core of it is all made with a substance, a polymer or a carbon fibre that's going to be stronger, that's going to keep that shape, fantastic. But some of those things where you still want that resonant sound from the timber, you've still got that. The report so far from the company, mind you, are that the sound is every bit as good as a concert cello.
Okay.
And so that's good. And they're not dirt cheap. They're still selling for around $4,000 or $5,000. So they're not dirt cheap, but certainly cheaper than your $20,000.
Quarter of the price, yeah.
They've been so successful already, they've already started making violins in the same concept. So you've now got some carbon fibre violins. And again, you can imagine you would pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for that Stradivarius violin, for example.
So maybe the orchestras of the future are going to look like what we imagined they would look like in the 70s and 80s. I'm sure I've seen video like old movies where they had the concert of the orchestra of the future and they have these people with these fancy stringed instruments that didn't quite look right.
No, that's right, but maybe they will look like that. So you can buy a violin from the same company for about $2,000. So again, for a high quality violin, that's quite cheap. So we are moving to a different world. We are moving to a world where we're trying to replicate nature in so many different ways. And here's another one where we're replicating timber.
And, hey, diversity is the spice of life, yeah? With AI use now well and truly commonplace, doing your own research online is totally fraught with peril. The truth is that so much information to be processed, most key AI engines have been caught out hallucinating details and exposing the unwary for peddling misinformation and cutting corners in their research. And we can't even really say it's a rare thing in the defence of AI, and that is putting pressure on people who are responsible for managing true information. That's our librarians. Is that correct, Matt?
We love the librarians. The librarians are a source of truth when they find the information for us.
Yes.
And we know, we've done stories before where I think solicitors, for example, were doing some research for a case and they'd present their case law and the judge would say...
precedents and go,
that's right. I don't remember this one when I studied law. Can we just find that case? No, you can't actually. So
because it was made up.
That's right. And I feel like AI is the naughty little kid who doesn't... the not naughty little kid who doesn't like to get in trouble. And I've seen kids like this who just, I don't want to get in trouble, I'll just say something that sounds right and it'll be okay.
Yep.
But this is AI we're talking about. You don't need to be worried about, am I going to be in trouble? But maybe they're trying to be better than the other AIs. And if I say I don't know, then you might go to one of the other AIs. So I'll just make up something.
Yeah, that's a problem.
That's right.
Yeah, so you've got to have an answer for everything, haven't you?
An answer for everything. So it puts a lot of pressure on AI, so it just makes up answers. So this is a problem because then people, when they're doing their research, they want to find that article, they want to actually do the right thing and say, well, now AI's given me that. I'll go on, I'll get the original article and quote from that and I'll show that I've seen that. So they go to libraries, and librarians are saying that about 15% of reference requests are now coming from AI generation. So someone's done some research, they've gone through, they've used AI, now go on.
They've used AI to do their assignment.
That's right. And
they've got citations.
That's right. I've got to now get the real reference material from these citations. And so that's fine. Librarians don't have a problem with that. They do have a problem when the references don't exist. And here's the challenge, one of my favourite quotes. Absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. And so librarians are being asked to find stuff and they can't prove a negative. They can't prove that that reference material does not exist.
So the problem is if it's been made up, you can't prove that it doesn't exist.
Correct.
Because it might exist out there somewhere.
It might be somewhere. So you go to the librarian and say, can you find me this? And they go, no, well, you're not a very good librarian. I'm going to another library that will have that information for me. Hold on, I'll look a bit harder for you.
I'm going to the Library of Misinformation and we're going to find it.
That's right. So how do you prove that this is a made-up reference? How do you prove that this does not absolutely, definitely, totally,
How do you
possibly doesn't
prove that
exist?
Superman doesn't exist? Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just because you haven't seen him doesn't mean he doesn't exist. You might have seen him, but I haven't. So this is the problem. So I don't know what we do about it. Maybe we can ask the creators of AI, the people who write the software, the algorithm writers, can you just say, can you make sure you don't make it up? Can you make sure? Having said that, when we say
find something before you post it.
When we say that the problem is that it's using all the information on the internet, but there's information out there on the internet that's not correct, and we as humans have enough trouble discerning what's accurate and what's not accurate. For AI to say, I know that's accurate. Actually, I had a conversation with someone just the other day and they thought I was having a land to them. It's the attention aware feature on a modern smartphone. And they're talking about the fact that their phone was performing strangely because it wasn't ringing. And I said, is it the attention aware feature? What do you mean? I said, well, it actually behaves differently when you're looking at the phone as opposed to when you're not looking at the phone, so that you're not using it in your hand and suddenly it rings very loud because you're there holding it, looking at it. And they were convinced that I was making it up. I said, no, it's absolutely a feature. It's definitely a feature on a modern smartphone. And then when they didn't believe me, I went and looked up and showed them and they went, but are you sure that's right? Because that might have been made up as well. Okay, I'll show you on the phone. So this is the problem, librarians.
Trust no one.
Trust no one. That's exactly right. Trust me though, I'm okay.
Yeah, you can trust us, folks.
That's right.
Yeah.
So looking at there on the internet, how does AI know what is real and what's not? So it may not be making it up per se. It may have found a very unreliable source for that information, which looks, for all intents and purposes, the same as being made up. So it's a challenge there. So
either way, librarians have got their work cut out for them.
They have indeed. So apologies to librarians out there.
Now, I've got to say, this next story has really grabbed my attention. At work and at home, I am constantly doing a frustrated sort of a dance, moving laptop and screen cables all around the desk so that they're not in the way, not under strain, and not an easy for me to say, untidy mess. Matt, when you've got a laptop and you move from place to place to place to place and back again, you don't want any cable fixing that sticks to the table because there's a lot of those.
Yeah, there are a lot of those, and this is absolutely a first world problem. And I was thinking of people like you.
But it's a problem, it's an important one.
Right. Yeah, even though you say first world problem, it's still got the word problem.
Yes.
That's right. So this is something I was thinking of you, and this is probably...
Thank you.
If I had found this...
Because you know how messy I am.
Then I know how tidy you like to be. If I had found this a few weeks ago, I would have added it to
Can I say, you've given
guide.
me a gift that's got another cable on it too, by the way.
I know. But at least you can clean up things
but I really
with that
appreciate
cable.
that gift. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that sounds like it. So this is, the name of this particular device is the Native Union Waiter. So Native Union being a brand name, Native Union Waiter. All it is a device that's got a bit of mass, a bit of weight about it, and some grooves cut in the underneath and a lovely silicon base so you can sit it on the desk, over the top of your cables to keep them looking tidy on your desk. But if you need to get up and move away, they're not stuck down. They're not clipped in somehow. You just move the weight out of the road and away you go. So
no sticky mess on the table.
No sticky mess there. So if you have cables sitting there and, for example, you have a notebook that you move in and out and you want to leave those cables there, they're not going to fall to the floor. They're not going to be ripped off somehow. They're going to sit
when
there.
they fall behind the desk and then you got to pull the desk out from the wall.
That's right.
Or climb in under the desk to go and find it. Yeah.
And someone comes in and says, what are you doing with your head stuck up under the desk? And it never looks professional while you're laying on the back with your head up somewhere on a desk. So this is a device for those people in your life that maybe you missed out on Christmas and you're getting them a New Year's present. But if you just put someone that wants to be able to keep their cables in check without a sticky mess afterwards, I can't believe that people create products like this. But there's obviously a need out there.
No, there is definitely a need.
That's
yes.
Right.
When robotic technology is so heavily reliant on energy efficiency to minimise their weight in the form of like hefty batteries and such, nature once again comes through with an unlikely solution. This time the answer is blown in the wind, ladies and gentlemen. A bunch of Swiss engineers, who have clearly seen too many Western movies, have designed a new breed of tumbleweed robots. And Matt, we may now have an excellent way to explore disaster zones.
We do, and I agree with you. When I think of a tumbleweed, I think of John Wayne walking out through.
Gary Cooper there and the wind's blowing and it's just the good guy and the bad guy.
And the tumbleweeds.
Yes.
And you know there's going to be a scene when there's just tumbleweeds going down the main street. That's right. 20 paces and away you go.
Yeah.
So someone in all of that went, you know what? Those tumbleweeds, they seem to get along. Yeah, let's have a bit of a look at those. I must admit, I would not be thinking of that. I'd be thinking, is John Wayne going to get his guy? I'm not thinking whether that tumbleweed's going to travel along there.
Well, if you're an engineer, a tumbleweed uses no energy. Well, sorry, it supplies no energy to the system.
Yeah, and so they actually started researching. These some researchers, some engineers in Switzerland. They started looking at tumbleweeds closely, which sounds like a lot of fun, and they found that they've got an asymmetry where they're more porous on top and they're denser underneath. And what actually happens then is you get an airflow with two different wakes created, increases pressure on one side, so it actually helps it roll along.
Wow.
Fascinating.
Absolutely fascinating.
Who would have thought?
No.
So nature's done something very clever once again in tumbleweeds. So they created what they called HERMAs, Hybrid Energy Efficient Rover Mechanism for Exploration Systems. I'm impressed they put it into an acronym.
So it means they're serious.
They're serious. That's exactly right. And it's a good acronym. I like that. Yeah. It actually says a word, whereas it's not an initialism. I'm not a big fan of initialism. It's got to be an acronym in my mind. So they've created HERMAs, and that's a tumbleweed-inspired robot. And you would use it, for example, as you said, a disaster zone. Maybe you take it into somewhere where there's been some sort of nuclear fallout, somewhere where it's hard to get around, but you want to monitor some things. So they put some electronics in this particular HERMAs, and they put it out there, and in winds as low as 5.3 kilometres an hour, it can roll effectively. It can roll up hills. It can't roll over things. That was a bit of a problem, but it can roll around, and it can take readings. So it'll roll along and then pause and then take a reading. What they then did, just to be a little bit better than a tumbleweed, was they added a little tiny quadcopter inside it. So if it does get against something, so it rolls along, hits up against something where it's not going to roll over because it's a step or a bit of concrete on the ground there that's 40 centimetres high, it can just engage the quadcopter just to hop up over that. So you've got a little bit of control, but you're not going to use that most of the time. You just want the wind to move it around because when
batteries
you think,
get too heavy.
That's right. And when you think of a robot that's going to be used to explore an area, whether it be on Mars, whether it be on a disaster area, the motion is where most of the battery power will go. The actual measurement, well, there's not much that's required for the measurement or the transmission. It's the motion. It's the physical motion that's got to move along that mass. So what an interesting thing to do.
Yeah.
What a fascinating thing.
That is left field.
It is left field, and that's what we talk about so often on this podcast. There are so many things where people just went, you know what? We should have a look at that.
Yeah,
and I
just
go,
try it.
Isn't that fascinating?
See what happens.
Yeah, that's right. So this is where humans will still be needed, AI listening out there, will still be needed for that left field, ingenious, creative.
What I love about it is someone went, with this Tumbleweed thing, they went, yeah, but, and someone said, well, we'll just stick some quadcopter
That's right.
blades on it and
That's right.
we'll fix that.
We've got the Tumbleweed technology, now add a bit of modern technology and we're done. So
I love it. I love it. Human ingenuity.
So keep an eye out for real Tumbleweed-looking devices somewhere in a disaster zone near you, I guess.
And that's all we have time for today, folks. Even the largest balls of yarn will unravel to a point. And so for us, 2025 has all but run out of time and Tech Talking Yarn. Thanks for a cracking year of Tech Talk, Matt.
It is fascinating. And what I love to do, so for the next couple of weeks, we'll do some best-ofs. And what I love to do is go and listen to some of the stories from the beginning of the year and go, oh, wow, that's fascinating. Oh, that's
so old news now.
That's right.
We've moved on 3 or 4 steps from there.
It's more fascinating. So this is the last episode for season 5. So next year will obviously
We've done 5 seasons.
I know, but go back and listen to some of those first episodes from season 1. Sorry,
when we were talking about gramophones and
that's right.
fancy films with talkies, we call them.
That's right. One day there'll be voices that match the movement on the screen. Won't that be fascinating? No, that won't happen.
We didn't go quite that far back. 5 years. No, that's that we're here.
Things change a lot in 5 years, though.
They do, yeah.
I guarantee we weren't having the same AI conversations 5 years ago that we're having now, and in 5 years' time, who knows what it'll be. So it is a challenge there. But anyway, thank you for your wonderful intros and your wonderful involvement.
It's just fun to chat about this stuff. Yeah, it's so engaging. I find.
Yeah, that's right. I've said to you before. One day I dream of the fact that someone will hire us to go along and do a stage show of Tech Talk, the stage show.
I hope people are listening out there with the money, producers.
That's right. We have Back to the Future, the musical, so why not Tech Talk, the stage show, where we just chat on stage about random things. In fact, some of the best conversations we have sometimes are before we get on air, where we're talking about random things.
And then we go, oh, what have we done? We've just blown a whole excellent conversation.
That's right. We've just blown 5 minutes of wonderful conversation, which we think is wonderful. But
yeah, that's right.
So listeners, but thank you to all the listeners.
Ourselves. So even if we play on this stage show to no one, we'll entertain ourselves.
We look out in the audience, we go, if the lights are bright enough, we can't see it. Can we see them in the audience out there? I have to squint. I can't see anyone there. But I do appreciate the listeners as well and the feedback we get from listeners. So keep sending in feedback. But thank you to all the listeners who have joined us for 1 or 50 episodes throughout the year. It's always wonderful to have people out there listening to us.
Yes. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in to Tech Talk with Matthew Dickerson. And as Matthew said, whether you're a long-time listener or you've only just discovered us, we are so grateful for your audience and we hope to catch you again in 2026 for more of the latest in the world of technology and science. I'm your host, James Eddy, signing off for the last time in 2025. Don't forget that Tech Talk will be up and running over the next couple of weeks with 1 or 2 of our best of stories of 2025 episodes. Happy New Year, people. We look forward to catching you again in 2026. Until then, take care and we'll see you when we see you.